My gut tells me that they were ambushed.
So, I had assumed this whole time for 6 months now that it happened in the middle of the night.
And now we know it was the middle of the day. Absolutely.
Broad daylight.
Broad daylight.
I don't want to get her involved in this. I don't want to get her life. Like it's something like this. I don't want her involved in this. Okay.
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Brian Laundrie's body has been found. Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
You're the one that filed the missing persons report.
Yeah, and I'll totally come forward with that.
That's all it is the truth. So there's nothing to hide in that coroner's report. There's nothing to hide by not having Kelly take a polygraph. And if the truth comes out, and this was...
How do you deal with it? I had to sneak the other day when I was with Josie. I had to sneak and talk to him. Like, I had to sneak and talk to him about his sister.
Makes me think the worst. Like, did you do that to all three of them?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is ATS News, and I am joined by some special guests tonight. I have Teresa from Criminality, and I also have CDT. And we are just going to discuss what everyone I know has been watching and kind of consumed with, I think, is this Depp trial. And yeah, I just really appreciate everyone joining me. Hi, David Carter and Alex and Island Girl, Delaney. It's so nice to see everybody in chat because I know that a lot of us have kind of just been doing small clips for this trial, and the live streams have been kind of in between. But here we are, and it's good to see everybody. So thanks, ladies, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Hi, chat.
Thank you for having me also. It's hello. And hello to everyone in chat. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Florida. So before we get started, just some preliminary things to discuss. The pinned comment in the live chat over up top, if I won't get into it, but if you guys have questions about that, or if there's any members right now in chat, that pretty much, if you need to need more information on the pinned comment, you can tag a moderator and they can kind of explain it a little bit further. And I've explained it in the beginning of my last live stream. So that is what's going on with the monetization right now. But we're going to carry on, and I have some clips that I want to share with the panel and with everybody here in chat. So I really hope you guys like what we end up kind of discussing. And honestly, we're kind of just winging it. And anything you guys want to kind of point out about the trial or anything in chat, feel free. And with you two, I guess, where do I even start?
I really don't know. Question too, because I'm like, there's just so much. There's so much to talk about.
We covered a lot. Well, not even a lot, but we covered the beginning of it on Criminality in a live stream, and then I know you've done a few other ones on it, the Depp trial. But it's a lot's been going on, and I feel like seeing a trial play out in front of our eyes has been so good for the true crime community, because even though this isn't like a felony case, seeing the courtroom and the proceedings and just the etiquette, I guess, it's just been very interesting for me, because a lot of the stuff that we follow are cases that are either, open and unsolved, or they're like in the beginning phases of trial. Like, for example, the Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell thing. Like, we haven't really gotten into the nitty gritty yet. So we've kind of been on the edge of like being able to watch something play out. And with the Watts case, obviously that was a plea deal. So totally different.
I think it's really interesting too, because it brings us the civil side of the courtroom, which is something for me, like, I'm not overly familiar with. But then you have like obviously you have, Johnny Depp, who's a huge star, and then you have Amber Heard, who's had her Star is Born moment, but then it sizzled. Then I think it's just intriguing to be able to watch all of that unfold. Like, you're learning so much about these people that you've seen on television, and then you're also using like your true crime brain to figure out, are they telling the truth? Are they acting? What would we expect to see if they were telling the truth? From all the things that we've learned in like criminal cases.
Yeah. And just, it's like you said, them talking about certain events that took place. Like, obviously this case has a lot of DV discussion, and I guess how they refer to it in the courtroom, which we could start using in the true crime world, is the IPV. And in my opinion, just from looking at everything in a whole, I just feel like the aggressor was always, it seemed to have been Amber, in my opinion.
I agree. And I just feel like even Johnny said it himself. There's no perfect person. I liked when he said that. None of us are perfect human beings, but I'm with you. I feel like the evidence that has been shown, I do feel like Amber was the aggressor, the manipulator, and his stuff was reactionary to what he was living with and dealing with every single day of his life. And I just feel like they've really put a heavy emphasis on the fact that, Johnny does have substance abuse issues. And I like that, Johnny admits that, he's open to that. And it's like, almost what Hollywood star doesn't struggle with that to some degree. But yeah, I agree. I just feel like a lot of his stuff is, reacting to what daily life with her would have looked like. And I don't think it was easy in my, from what I'm seeing.
I don't know if you guys have kind of, just because it pops up in my recommended feed and stuff, all these older videos of like them in paparazzi mode and stuff like that when they were dating. And it's like, if you rewatch or relook at pictures of them, there's a lot where the body language is him being the one, with his arm around her, and her being very like stiff and scooted away from him, and just not like, it just looks off, So I just feel ultimately it's what he described in that one text message that was just, the one that she pretty much looked like she was crying to this week. Did you guys see her when they were reading out this long text message that Johnny allegedly had sent or whatever? And he was.
Are you talking about the one with the Molly?
I think I think there is some drug reference in it.
Oh, no, there's that one that from yesterday's testimony that like everybody was like freaking out about, because Rottenborn was trying to say that, Johnny sent these messages, but then if you look at the messages, they're incoming. So I didn't know if you're talking about those.
Yeah, that's the one. And like you said, it said incoming. Those were, those were the message threads, I think, that I'm referring to.
I think that I don't know if they're actually talking about drugs. I wonder if Molly's actually a person named Molly. I obviously don't know. I'd have to look into the other person who was actually on those messages to see if they had somebody in their life named Molly. But I was so surprised that nobody in the court caught it. Nobody on JD's team caught it, and then it didn't come up again today. So I'm wondering like where that's going to fit in, because those are obvious. I mean, Johnny says they're not his. He said, I did not write those. So are they going to leave it at that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's once they put up those metadata experts and all that, I was like, oh, geez, like, I hope it wasn't going over the heads of the jury, pretty much. Like referring to her photoshopping things and things being edited and all that. Like, I just hope that I'm sure that they understand like the metadata at this point, hopefully, but I'm just looking at the chat, and yeah, today, did you guys get the feeling that it was like a typical, and again, this is just my opinion, narcissistic traits, I guess, Amber on the stand, everyone but her is pretty much telling, or everyone is lying but her. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I really liked how Camille, I mean, she kept like, okay, so they're lying, or, they were lying during their testimony. And she was like, well, I'm not saying that, but, and it's like, you are saying that. And I just feel like, I think Camille's great, obviously, my opinion, but did really well just like continuing to kind of poke at that point. Because that is basically what she was saying in a roundabout way, kind of just completely diminishing all the other testimonies from, yeah. And like, that's not how it happened. Well, okay.
And I agree with Valerie. It's like clear that Amber, her parents, and her sister all struggled with alcohol and substance issues. So that's why I don't understand. Like, I understand they're trying to paint like Johnny as this terrible person, and obviously his substance abuse helps paint that picture. But on the same hand, I'm kind of like, what about her? You know what I mean? And the fact that a lot of IPV incidences happen when people are under the influence doesn't help her either, because a lot of these witnesses were saying that they'd seen her drunk and, she was drinking and this and that. So I just feel like it didn't do them much good, in my opinion, they went really hard on his substance issues for a long time. And it's kind of like, yeah, we get it. He had a really hard upbringing, they laid the foundation really well to explain Depp's reasoning for why things are the way they are in his, personal life and struggles, So I just hope the jury remembers all that, because that was the first week of this trial.
I question how much of that they don't pay any attention to. I mean, obviously that part's a major part, so I do think that they pay attention. I try to kind of do like all of us in the public, that's what we paid attention to. Now, if we go back and look at all the experts and who's who and who said what about what, I don't know how much they're sitting in these chairs all day long just listening to these people talk. I'm just thinking, after this is all over, I can't wait to hear whether it's like, you know what, we already knew what we were going to do on day 8 or day 12. You know what I mean? Like, all the rest was just not necessary.
Yeah, I do, because everybody has their own perception of things and personal, like, relation, the jury, I mean. So it's like, what things did they pay attention to, and what things were they kind of like, whatever, I don't care, I've already made up my mind, in a way, It's going to be interesting to see, because I thought that Amber's team a couple times seemed like they had a good point, or the fact that her career suffered and all of that. They tried to lay it out good, but ultimately it did seem as though her career issues started happening after the was it after like the Coachella and the defecation that things started going downhill, and like the hashtag started?
Well,
or was that like during their UK stuff when all that started?
The hashtags and stuff started back in, I mean, a long time ago. They were from 2015, 2016, from my understanding. But they only focused on what was happening. Like Amber's team's expert was only focused on the hashtags from, the more recent, like the after the Waldman statements or the Depp Waldman statements, whatever you want to refer to them as. But if you looked in the other guy, and see, so I said the experts, like I don't remember their names at all, but the expert on JD's side was talking about, that these hashtags have been going like this actually longer, and that they were higher before the Waldman statements, because people already didn't like her. People who are, that follow celebrity stuff and, couples and things like that, they already knew. That's why you see, like, there's tons of old videos from when all of this started, and these people knew that she was lying then. They'd already started the research back in, 2016, 2017, 2018.
And before I start playing these little videos for you guys, the one thing that I thought was really damning that Amber did today, which not only did she say that's why I wrote the op-ed, people were kind of like, well, yeah, she never denied writing it. She just denied that it was about Johnny. And it's like, but then she said today that, you know, Johnny's the reason because he's a powerful man. And that's why I wrote the op-ed. And so it was just kind of like she shot herself in the foot, like a lot of times so far in this trial. And it's like, I realized, I mean, we all know that Camille is intellectually more superior than Amber Heard, but I never realized how dense Amber Heard is by all the things that she was contradicting her previous statements with today.
Well, I think that's because she knew. She knew that there was an issue with that photo. It's been on social media. So she already knew that was, you know, if that came up, what she was supposed to say. I think that's the big issue too, is like, how does she know that? Because she's not supposed to know anything about the case from the outside, right? Or why it's happening. But
yeah.
She knew she knew those photos, that wine photo, she knew that was going to come up. And she'd already been like, oh, well, I don't know. I just misunderstood. And so she'd already like rehearsed what she was going to say and who she was going to say it to, like in that jury.
Sneaky. And another thing that I thought that she did today that was just so stupid, like, because I guess it's all about how you perceive what somebody is saying. So at one point she said, he threatened me and told me before we ever divorced that he would make my life a living hell, so to speak. Like not verbatim her words, but pretty much saying that he told me that he would make it so that I would have to think about him every day. Did you guys hear all that today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the way that she's trying to spin it is this man's vindictive. I've been battling with him incessantly because he won't leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. But the way I kind of looked at it was, if before they ever divorced, which, you know what, like, honestly, I've had ex-boyfriends be like, if you know, ever cheated on me or whatever, I'd make your life live in hell or whatever. So I figured if he did say that, you know, like, I would make your life hell or whatever, I thought, okay, well, then is that why you laid this all out in front of the media and the press and everything before he could lay out his story? You know, like if she felt in a way that he's going to ruin me, he said so before we ever even got divorced, that's why I have to go out in this leak stuff to TMZ, get them to meet us outside the courtroom. We got to spin this narrative before he can, because he's already said that he's going to ruin me. So to me, I took it as, even if he did threaten her in that sort of way, it would almost make me think that that would have motivated her 10 times more to kind of spin things how she wanted first.
Well, I also think that she just wanted to spin her narrative that way, that people would just automatically believe her, which did happen. There was a very big anti-Johnny movement at the time, and
yeah,
she was getting her way. And I think what we see now is her no longer getting her way, and she's pissed. Because, and so that's why her stories escalated into this crazy.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. It's like, that's why I think that she did stage it all up and stuff, because and we've seen it in other cases, whoever puts the story out there first, you know, once Twitter and all that starts saying this is how it went down, this is coming straight from the mouth of, you know, Amber Heard, or this came from law enforcement, this and that. Like, we've seen it before where it's true. Whoever gets the news out there first and starts spreading the word, how can the one that is, you know, the other person or the other victim in the case get their story out? And by then it's already spread like wildfire. And now, like you said, it's come to a point where her stories, why would he bother going through court again if he felt like he couldn't win and that she was telling the truth? You know what I mean?
Well, my personal opinion is I think that she started everything because she wanted money out of the divorce. She knew he was leaving her, and so she needed to set this whole thing up to make sure that she got more money and that he would settle for more money to keep everything out of the limelight, which sort of worked until the op-ed, because he didn't say anything. He paid her the $7 million, and you know, that they didn't have a very nice divorce, but he still kind of caved in. Like she says today, he signed that letter, and that was, his idea basically to sign the letter saying that nobody lied for financial gain, because that's what celebrities do, because they don't want all their business out in the world. And I think she counted on that, having the actors that she did, or the people that she knew that were in, that were famous people. They were like, oh yeah, he'll just settle, he'll just pay you out. That's how I feel. I feel like she, and then it just started to spiral. And as it spiraled and it spiraled and it spiraled, because she was like, Aquaman 2 is gonna be like my big thing. It's gonna do so well. Let me get this out, and people are gonna like pity me, and I'm gonna have even more money. I'm gonna have more money, and I'm gonna be more famous.
Yeah.
So she does it right at the release of Aquaman.
Unbelievable, the type of scheming and methodology and just strategy, and all her so-called friends are now not her friends anymore. Like, who does she have besides her sister still copacetic with her, like out of everybody that was on?
I like how when Camille or Johnny's team, anybody really mentions her friend, like Rocky especially, they're like, your former friend. They're like emphasizing former, who no longer speaks to Miss Heard.
Good point. I know.
Interesting.
I wish we could find out, one, if that's true, and two, why. Because Rocky's explanation of this whole, like, what did she say? I wanted to put time into my other friendships or some bullcrap.
Yeah,
like, no,
she claims they're not friends anymore. So
exactly. I find it interesting too that Rocky and her husband divorced too. Like, obviously that's just a separate issue, but I'm kind of like, makes me wonder, like, did Amber like tell them like, I'll pay you, and then she never paid up? I mean, she did that with her donation.
Mm-hmm. That was a big exchange when she would not like give in that. Well, I pledged it. And
can you imagine arguing with her?
Oh man, see, it would be exhausting.
Yeah. All right, let me pull up a video.
Island Girl said she pledged to help her friends, probably, right?
She did. She pledged to help them, but now they can't. Now they can't tell anybody that, because it'll be perjury.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's possible, that like they had some arrangement maybe, and like she said, I need your help, like faking these bruises or whatever, or if I need you to make a statement, and then never paid them or something. And why would they come forward and be like, she told us she was going to pay us if we fake or helped her fake this,
that does not.
Yeah. They would have, that would be what do you call it? Public suicide for their image in any business, no matter what they do.
And I don't put it past them either, because like they were just mooching off of Amber, and Amber was mooching off of Johnny. Like it's so sickening, and it's just like a lot of other celebrities that you kind of like, you'll listen to their behind the scenes story or whatever, and it's like they surrounded themselves with all the wrong people, and they were surrounded by enemies, and it's like all these people just like, they're like vampires pretty much to somebody like Johnny, or other examples too. But this is it.
He did surround himself with all the wrong people once he got involved with her.
Yeah. But this is just a clip, and it's the text messages that she was sending him, which I think are a clear example of her kind of like manipulative and just erratic and unstable behavior. Like, I just feel like Camille really painted it really well in this, and I edited out like the quiet parts. Like, you'll see.
This is a series of text messages between you and Mr. Depp. That is correct.
And feel free to talk at any point.
I just want to say hi to everybody
I'm
coming in
going to
chat. I
move
know
to
tons of people
admit
have said hi to us, and I haven't had a
publish
chance
these
to
text
say thank
messages.
to them.
Yes, chat. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you guys listening to us.
Mr. Depp's messages have been redacted.
All right, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 120E and evidence, you can publish.
Starts with a text message from you to Mr. Depp on September 26, 2015, right?
That is correct.
And you write, "Monster is back. This is him." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And then in the next message, you write, quote, "Ran away, first sign of trouble. This is not the man you promised you would be." Did I read that correctly?
That is correct.
Then in the next one down, you write, "Promised, swore to me you would be."
That is correct. The non-monster.
And mind you, this is all like minutes
You're
apart.
talking about Mr. Depp running away from you at the first sign of
Oh
trouble.
yeah, she's
aren't you?
bombarding him.
No, I'm recognizing the clues at this point. When he would run away the first sign of trouble, often that was a clue for me to know that he was back using again and that we were about to enter the next phase of the cycle.
And you describe his running away from you as the monster, right?
That wasn't what was the monster. The monster is the man who beat me up. The running away was just attached to that. It was a sign, a signal to me as a clue, as somebody trying to put together clues that we were entering into that phase.
She runs out of breath
messages,
with her BS.
The
Exactly.
monster isn't Mr. Depp doing drugs, is it?
It was always.
I feel like these messages are talking about him not paying attention to her.
It is.
If you listen to her, listen to him read, they're about her. Oh, the monster's back. The guy who's not gonna hang out with me. The guy who's not gonna focus on me. You said it would be about me, or whatever she says right there. It's like, it's not about drugs. It's not about a cycle. It's about that she's not getting enough attention and she's pissed.
And I just feel like she's the type of person, she enjoys the conflict. So for him to walk away, I feel like that only probably makes her more heated. Like, okay, he's disengaging. I want to engage. And that just kind of triggers her even more when he tries to leave, you know?
It drives her nuts to get
Yes.
ignored and to be, because they kind of like explained it a little bit. I can't remember if it was Dr. Curry or Dr. Hughes that her childhood has made her have abandonment issues, which I totally believe, you know, like I believe that, you know, a lot of her personality issues have a lot to do with her childhood. If it is.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, the way it sounds. And Teresa, it was true. Like, remember when we spoke on yours about how her mother was afraid of her? Like, had said to somebody that she was afraid of Amber. I had followed up on seeing it confirmed again that was true. So I had noticed that a lot of times Amber would say something like, "Well, I told my mother," and it's like, how convenient that she's not here to kind of like corroborate that, and her phone data doesn't show that you texted her that you were being abused. You know what I mean? It's just like,
also, I think that Whitney, if in the roles of their childhood, Whitney's more like her mom, and Paige and Amber's more like Paige or her dad, not Paige, because she's saying like, you know, she would be the one that understands. She's come from all this turmoil. You know, her dad was an alcoholic and was abusive to the girls and the mom. I think that there's something to that, why they were afraid of Amber, because I think she reminds them of the dad.
that would make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And do you guys remember what the whole thing was with her? It's been so long, when she was talking about her upbringing and was talking about the horse. And she was like, I don't know. It was just so weird the way she like spoke about like horses or something. There was like something where it like taught her not to ever show emotion or something like that. Maybe not to scare the horse, she was saying, but it's like, no, you don't show emotion because you're just cold.
Yeah. It's beyond that.
And isn't it weird? There's an older sibling. I'm almost positive. She has an older sister, and I don't know if it's on mom's side, dad's side, or both. I really don't know, but I swear, and I have to look at that. I actually told myself the other day to look into it, because I swear there's an older sibling that you don't ever hear about.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to hear too, because it just kind of expands more on like, well, then why didn't she come and speak, or she or he, whoever it is. But yeah, ultimately, like we were saying, these text messages, and I think chat is pretty much agreeing also. And if you're watching this on replay, feel free to comment on anything down below on, you know, these texts or whatever. But I think that this is mostly to do with them not being together, and he was kind of like fed up and she was being ignored. But ultimately, it's all her doing.
I think she was overly needy. She needed too much from him. He's more free-spirited. He's more like, fly by the seat of your pants. Let's fly to Australia. Let's go to the Bahamas. Let's go paint some pictures and do some MDMA. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And she's like rigid and
controlling.
Right. And I'm like, he probably did want her to have drugs because she was probably, you know, more chill until she wasn't. And then it became like a really big issue. Because look at her sitting there. She's just so stiff. And I'm like, you're not coming across as a nice, good person. Like, I don't know if you know that or not, but your PR team can tell you.
I feel like yesterday she really was another level even. She just looked so irritated and mean. I don't know. I just feel like yesterday she did not look nice.
And although and here's the thing, beauty is only what's on the inside. Everyone knows that, you know, like I do not see her as a beautiful person. It's so strange. Like just knowing the way she is, I look at her and I don't look twice. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, but she's so beautiful. She just is so ugly to me, you know? But I don't know if this is just a petty thing or whatever, or if I'm just over analyzing, but truthfully, I feel like, you know, while her style has been up and down with her outfits, I think overall she's looking way too snotty, like too uptight. Like she looks, you know, some of the outfits are obviously, you know, top notch and Gucci or whatever, I'm sure, Chanel, but some days I just feel like it's just a little too much that the jury and maybe anyone just can't relate to, because she's so snotty, like looking and smug and all that stuff. Like I just feel like some days she should have toned down with like looking rich in a way, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like, because at one point she was up there and she was saying, she's like, I don't have all this money or something like that. And I was like, what? Like, okay.
Can we just talk about that for a minute? Where the heck is her money? Like, she got the $7 million, which we know she got. Then she got the 1 million and the 2 million from Aquaman 1, and she got paid for Aquaman 2, whether they use her or not. Where is all of this money?
But her saying that she doesn't have all this money?
No, I just want to know where is it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think what she's doing right now isn't cheap. Like, she's having to pay this team. She has a child now. She used a surrogate. I mean,
yeah, but it was all gone already.
Yeah. I'm just
drugs
wondering,
and alcohol, maybe
what she's bruise kits.
Bruise kits. I want to know, like, did she have to like start picking up the tab for that like $160,000 a month in boxed wine?
Right.
And like, come on, are you that out of touch that you don't know your tie looks like the KFC guy?
Whoever's dressing her is really that's who she needs to replace, is her wardrobe people.
Yeah. I don't know what's been going on. And like some days her hair, I really like the braids and like the French braids and stuff. But then like
don't get me started on her hair.
You guys have seen the memes of her hair that look like the S, and people, you know, making jokes that it says BS and all this stuff. And it's just, I just feel like some days she's just overkill, like with the flashiness and like the gold buttons and stuff. It's like, okay, like you are a gold digger. You look like, if I had to picture a gold digger, it would be you.
I'm not saying you a gold digger.
Exactly. But it's just, yeah, trying to look innocent, but looking just so, I don't know. It's just, she's not relatable. I hope the jury sees that.
the man who did drugs and beat me up. Yes, that's always been the monster.
That's not what you're saying in these messages.
That is exactly what I'm saying in the messages.
You don't describe Mr. Depp being violent, do you?
I do not describe that in this text message. No. No.
So it's a cowardly monster this time.
No.
Okay. And going down the page, you write a long series of text messages to Mr. Depp that don't get a response. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You write, "Come grown, face the shit, and we can do anything." You go on a little later to say, "Please come home. Let's apologize to each together."
Just clearly so aggressive, like saying to him, "Come grown."
Mm-hmm.
He's just a little old man, a little fat old man.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I'm not understanding is she's painted, in which kind of goes into what I was saying earlier, her inconsistent statements. She's painted him as like the fat old man, right? She's also said that more than once they had to carry him like a baby. They carried him like this, like a baby. So she's painted him in these like very weak, feeble type, but then wants us to think that he pulled her hair out and blah, 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 so on and so forth. Like, it's just kind of like, which is it? Which guy is he?
Yeah.
Whichever one you absolutely believe. That's all she cares about. Believe that he's any one of those little fat old men that's all washed up, or believe he's abusive. Whatever bad version of him that she puts out that you want to believe, that's what she wants you to believe. She does not care. That's why it changes all the time.
Yeah. And she's hoping whatever narrative she's spinning at that moment is going to stick with whoever will believe her. And she believes herself,
And I completely agree with Vicky VA's comment. And I've said this to you, Amber, in our chat. If she could have gotten good abuse pictures, she would have them. I agree. I mean, there's just, and Camille, or, in general, Johnny's team does well. Like, but you didn't take a picture of that, did you? And calls her out on that.
Yeah. And this whole, remember when Johnny said that she used red nail polish on tissues or whatever?
Yes, for the nose. Yep.
Okay. So if there was an incident where, there was blood like that, like why weren't those pictures taken? And was she planning on taking pictures of those?
Exactly.
But if she took pictures of all the stuff around the blood, I think that's my bigger issue. It's not like you weren't taking pictures or you have no pictures from that entire thing. You chose to take a photo of a broken bed and not a bloody pillow. You chose to take these, you know what I mean? Like, why a person who's being abused isn't going to choose to take why do you care about the broken bed if your face is broken?
Yeah. That pretty much means absolutely nothing as far as documenting something like significant and like, holy cow, look what happened. Like, why am I looking at this closet?
Yes.
Maybe you should pick it up and stop taking pictures. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the evidence that's lacking on her part is her. I can't believe she won the UK one.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't technically.
They settle?
No, the UK one was against the Sun.
Oh, right.
She was the lead witness for the Sun. So the Sun technically won, saying that there wasn't enough evidence to support why. That's the thing. People say like they won. What they actually won was that there was enough evidence to support that they could put that headline out, or they could put that article out. Mm-hmm. Because she had filed a TRO, she had done all these things, blah blah blah. That's why the headline comes out. So there was enough evidence to support that the Sun should be able to put that out there without being defamation. You see what I'm saying? So Amber Heard didn't win crap.
Right.
What she did was create enough bullshit that it made the Sun win.
Got you. Yeah. And I think in my mind, I'm thinking Johnny lost it. And now I'm slow to it. I remember it was against the Sun. So yeah,
he did lose. He did lose, and she was their star witness.
Got it. Yeah, that's where I was kind of slow. But yeah, it's pretty much I think motivated him even more. Like if he was telling the truth, you know, because the Sun is like a huge publication and like he's a huge celebrity, yes, but I don't know. They're big in the UK, the Sun. I think they're like from there.
But he had filed this defamation suit against Amber prior to the beginning of the UK battle. So yes, he filed against them first, but he also had filed against her because he filed against her in like January of 2019, and 2020 was the UK trial. So he was already suing her regardless of what happened with the Sun.
Got you. I never knew that timeline. That's very interesting.
Well, now let's just hope my timeline's accurate. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come back on here and apologize to everybody.
All I know is when those phone calls were leaked or put on YouTube, I was listening to them like during quarantine, and I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is a nightmare. And I never really looked into like the accusations against him, but I had known about them. Like it was spreading, you know, that he was this or that against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. But then once I heard those phone calls, I was like, wait a minute, like this isn't adding up. Like, I wonder if that was fake news. Got me.
The irony. It was fake news.
Yeah. And continuing on page 77, you write, not go to bed mad. And then you say, sound okay? Sound like the priority in the long run? Come home. Don't be the monster. Be the man. Please. Please call me. Please. Continuing on page 78. You write, I don't want the monster. I need my man. I need to talk to you. Please, Johnny. Don't force me to be something else to you. This is taking me for granted and I can never stop before this turns into something far darker. Describing yourself in that text message, right?
The exact opposite. I'm trying to interrupt him starting a new cycle.
See, like I take it as like Camille takes it when she says into something far darker, and before this turns into something far darker. Like, what is she like threatening? In my opinion, I feel like
don't make me beat the shit out of you when you get back here, Johnny. Just get back here and be a man.
Yeah, just very unstable type of language. And now she's going to tell Camille it wasn't about that.
When he starts using it again,
He's not responding to you, Miss Heard.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to desperately stop him.
Please answer the phone, you say. Doesn't this mean anything to you? And it goes on. And I won't read all these messages, but you're saying, please answer over and over again. Right?
It was very important to me. I was running out of time and I was trying desperately to stop him.
He wasn't with you, Miss Heard.
Exactly.
I love that.
A lot worse.
I was trying desperately to stop him.
Like,
wait, how do you even know what he's doing? He's not answering you. He's not with you. Like, what are you talking about? Like, her story's
Because this time I know the cycle. I know what's going to happen.
Oh my God.
Worse, with way less reality, with more delusions. He'd be more drunk.
I'm going to move to strike everything after
I was trying to stop
the
that.
answer to her question.
Your Honor, she was responding.
I'll overrule the objection. That's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is a situation where you were trying to get Mr. Depp to pay attention to you. Isn't that right?
No, I was trying to stop him from using.
I love that Camille never backs down. She doesn't get tripped up.
Stop him from.
She's constant. No matter what's happening, no matter whether the judge sustains, whether she overrules, no matter what happens, she just keeps going and doesn't get flustered. That was like incredible to me because you see how much Elaine gets flustered. She's all over the place. Okay, I don't have to think of it. Where's my notes? Camille's just on it. She's like, nope. Okay, well, you're gonna let that one go. Fine, I'm gonna go here then. You're gonna let that go. Fine, I'm going here. She just keeps going. I love this lady.
She's so inspirational. I mean, she nailed it. And she's just been following this whole mess. You know, Johnny's been her client for like how long? Like She was at the UK stuff. So it's just like, she knows Amber like the back of her hand at this point.
And I think she also just knows exactly what Amber has said. I almost wonder, like, when she's prepped for this, when she like has like, can you turn to the testimony from day 16 at 4:42 and blah blah blah. Like, I think she's got that shit memorized. Like, she already knows that, like, where it is, because she knows exactly when Amber lied.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And like, I thought watching Johnny's legal team was so fascinating. Like, it sometimes you don't really see it, but if you pay close attention, like the times where they pick up their pen and they're just like writing, I'm like, I know that they're going to address something. And I love it. Like, Camille is just on point. Yes, she is brilliant. I totally agree.
Into the monster. The drugs are the key that open the door.
Who is the real monster in this relationship, Miss Heard?
Lives in Johnny. Half of Johnny. It's not all of Johnny. The other half of him is wonderful and beautiful and the man I love.
Messages, and it's from October 2015. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
In fact, you sent all of these messages to Mr. Depp on October 22nd, 2015. Isn't that right? And again, I'm not going to read them all, but you start off again by trying to get Mr. Depp's attention, right? You write, "Please come home."
I was trying to stop another bender.
You write, "Please come home," right?
That is correct.
Please answer. Don't break us up. Please answer. Please. And continuing on page 97, you write, "Give me some piece of your heart. Please, no fight, I promise. Please, no fights. Please just pick up. Please give me 2 minutes."
It's sad, in her desperate attempts to get him to answer her, she has to like assure him that she won't fight with him.
Yeah.
Like, if
that tells a lot, I feel.
Yeah, like if this was really about preventing a bender, it'd be like, "I'm so worried about you. Please don't go on another bender," or like, "Don't go missing in action."
Yes.
Like,
there's never a mention of drugs in any of this.
Yeah, because she's not worried about it. She wanted an accident to happen, I think.
"I'm dying.
I'm
Please."
dying.
And continuing on page 98, you write, "Please come home. Please come home, Baba. I'm so sorry." Actually, you didn't say Baba, you said baby. Apologies. And it goes on. Did I read those correctly?
That is correct. That was another time I'm trying to stop another twist off.
This is what would happen when Mr. Depp would try to take some space from you, right?
No, this is what would happen when Johnny had moved into the next phase of the cycle, decided to use,
No,
and
I've
our
misheard.
lives were getting a lot worse at that
Ms.
point.
Heard, I'm talking about your actions. This is what you would do to Mr. Depp when he would leave you. You would harangue him.
I would try
Is that
to-
correct? You
I
would
would try-
harangue him.
Your Honor, at least let her answer the question.
That's fine. Go ahead and answer the question. I do not think I would characterize my behavior that way. I was trying to stop him from using.
You were texting him incessantly. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
It was imperative for my life.
Ms.
It was
Heard,
very
my
important
question is
to me.
much more simple. You were texting him incessantly.
I would
Yes
try
or no?
everything to
Ms.
get a hold
Heard?
of him and
So
to
that's a
stop the
yes.
cycle.
That's a yes, right?
I would try everything to stop the cycle. It was that important to me.
And he's the monster for not responding to you,
That's not what made him the monster.
for
No.
needing space from you.
The monster was not the guy who needed space. The
Not
monster
for
was who
doing
he
drugs.
was when he came back.
Not for doing drugs, Ms. Heard. Not for being violent. Just for needing space. That's when you called Mr. Depp the monster.
So she says right there, like, who he would be when he came back. But then why would you be begging him to come back if he's going to be a monster towards you?
Boom.
That's one thing I've always said. Like, these people who are in abusive relationships, and the guy leaves, typically, wouldn't they be relieved that that guy
Yes.
is not there instead of there to abuse them?
Yes. And we've seen in so many cases, that's the point where they're packing up and they've left when they had the chance. You know what I mean? Or they're documenting things like that Powell case. You know what I mean? That he's not home. Here's my chance to document
Yes.
stuff, you know?
Yep.
And that's, her actions don't add up, and that's what I really loved about they're kind of laying out how they Dr. Curry's saying, I don't believe she has PTSD. And it's like, for me, the thing that really, besides the fact, all the stuff that they pointed out, you know, her going on trips and going out to dinner with friends, blah, 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 exercise, this and that, everything that Dr. Curry laid out that doesn't align with like what she sees in other people who have true PTSD. I was just thinking, like, you know, motherhood is one of the most anxiety filled things anybody could take on, like even fatherhood, you know? So why would she have decided, I want to be a mother. I have PTSD, but I think I'm going to add some more worry to my life.
I think she wanted somebody to love her. You know, that we have that unconditional love with our children. And that's, you know, many people have had babies just so they can, you know, feel they think it's going to fill that void.
Yeah, she's definitely probably that type. And plus she wants praise, you know, like she will put that child up in front of whatever if it makes her look good, you know, like, oh, paparazzi are there, let me push the stroller and let's go, you know what I mean? It's just like,
She probably called the paparazzi to be there, to watch her push the stroller.
Yeah, and it's like unfortunate that you have to think that she's that calculated, but from everything we've seen, it appears so, and it could be possible. And like Shmedia was saying earlier in chat, when she mentioned like people want to put my baby in the microwave, like she didn't, she was doing the crying voice, but no tears.
You know that story is actually from somebody else. Somebody else said there's an article out that, and I don't remember the person's name now, but that she was getting threats that they wanted to put her baby in a microwave. It's a headline from a news article.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, ultimately I'm not buying anything that Amber Heard has tried to sell. I
believe that she hates all the, what did she say today? All the hate that she gets on social media, like even when she was coming into the courtroom today. I believe that. And I believe that she's worried about what it's done to her career. But I don't believe any of her stories at all. I just believe she's very concerned for her own self and what's going to happen to her.
I agree. Like, I don't even think, like, at times I was like, is she sitting there like thinking like, wow, I really shouldn't have done this, like I really regret. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't think she even like thinks that anything she's done is wrong. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything like this.
She feels justified, like, hey, I told Johnny, you know what, you're not going to ever leave me.
Okay, Island Girl, have a good night. Thanks for being here. But yeah, I do wonder where exactly her career is headed.
She could be a paparazzi for TMZ.
Oh my gosh, right? And it's like, that's the thing, when she was talking about the harassment she gets and this and that, like for a second I was like, oh, well, I felt bad. But then I'm like, it's all self, you know, inflicted. Like, she's done it to herself, you know? So this was a little clip that I never posted, but it's pretty much my rendition of Johnny in the morning with the stenographer. And the first clip, the text messages we just did was the longest, and the next ones are just short, but I hope you guys like them. So I was saying earlier that the thumbnail for this was pretty much like when she took her headphones off and was like smiling and laughing, saying yes. I wanted it to say like he offers her candy. Has anyone figured out what mints they have on their desk or whatever every single day? Because I really want to try them.
I don't know.
They have like a pinkish red type bottom.
I've seen people, I've seen people say jelly beans, but I don't know. I haven't looked that closely, but if you're saying they're like that, then I don't think it'd be jelly beans.
It's like the ones that they're circled and you like pop it open, but I can't tell what they have.
Yeah.
I think it would be funny if he actually was offering her a piece of candy, though. He's like, "Oh, piece of candy?" Ooh,
Yeah,
piece of candy? And she's like, "I can't take that. The court will think I'm a narcissist."
Did you notice right after that whole thing happened, you see Camille's hand reach over and grab candy?
Didn't Ben too? I thought they both did. I think they both ate candy.
Yeah, like it was like right after the objection or whatever, after Elaine tried to go down that road. He's just she
you eat
wasn't
candy and you doodle. Are those narcissistic traits?
That was hilarious. I was like,
you know that the guy that's in the courtroom that's doing all the drawings, the sketch artist guy that's sitting there making all the drawings, he's probably like, "What the heck, man? Like, what did I do?"
I didn't even see the guy do the artist illustrating.
That's one of the guys that's just sitting in the gallery. He's sitting there illustrating and drawing photos. They have one in court.
Gotcha.
So I was just saying, like, how bad for that guy. He's like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah. So this, I don't know. I just kind of edited this together and I just thought it was funny. It was pretty much when I think that one specialist or whatever for Amber's side was speaking about everything that she lost during like career-wise. I forget her name. And I don't think I showed her.
An episode. Jason Momoa is in his TV show got $1 million. So there's an exponential range of where she could have gone.
But pretty much the thumbnail is going to be the Amber Heard realizes in this minute she shouldn't have lied, like pretty much coming up with the fake accusations.
All right. What about endorsements? Same thing. All the other actors were doing over the course of a couple years period, anywhere from 5, 6, 7 other endorsement deals. And Miss Heard realistically should have gotten endorsement deals in other categories. L'Oreal is makeup, so probably not in makeup, but maybe water or clothing or jewelry or wellness, or it could have been anything else. And so she too should have, with a reasonable degree of certainty, gotten other contract deals based on the success of the films that she's been associated with and the TV shows she's been associated with.
And what would that have translated into in terms of dollars?
So in terms of dollars, okay, so if it was $1.5 million for L'Oreal for a 2-year contract, and let's give her 4 other $1.5 or $2 million deals, which all those other actors, especially the ladies, have gotten, then you're looking at an additional $8 million of income over time. I'm not saying this is in one period. We're looking at as far back as the defamatory statements of 2020 to now, which is almost 2 years. And again, as I said earlier, even when this is quiet, it will take 3 to 5 years.
So yeah, she just looked very uncomfortable when the lady was talking about like the potential that her career could have gone if things didn't go in that direction of that guy making those statements, his old lawyer. See, Weinstein.
Waldman, yeah.
Waldman, yes. That's the thing is like I didn't even hear about that. Like that guy saying anything. So for her to try to say that things went downhill after he came out, I was like, I didn't even hear that.
Well, the articles were like in the Daily Mail. So, and I think most people are pretty familiar with the Daily Mail from like the Chris Watts case around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, some of their stuff is accurate, but we also go, if it's not, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And they have good visuals, but like you said, some things we point out in numerous cases that it's like, not really. But then other things, it's like, oh, wow, like I like the way they laid that out. But yeah, ultimately, it was just, I never heard about it. And I think because, like you said, the Daily Mail, it's kind of a selected type of, I don't know, it just didn't spread. I never heard about it. And pretty much their guy showed that had nothing to do with like the hashtag increase of the negative stuff about Amber and all that. And it's like, I don't know. Anything can happen. I'm anxious to see because not only is this, him suing her, but she's countersuing. So what could happen?
Well, there's tons of scenarios. They could both win. They could both lose. One could win. They could both win. One gets $1. I mean, there's so many different scenarios. There's no way she's getting $100 million like that. That's just bizarre to me.
Did you guys see the memes going around of her being compared to Dr. Evil? And it was like her saying like that she was suing for $1 million or whatever.
$1 million, especially with her outfit that she had on that one day.
Yes. It was perfect for that.
So the day that Amber kind of left without being dismissed by the judge, she was pretty much being grilled about certain subjects. And this subject was one of the leading up to kind of moments. And I just felt like, obviously, once again, she's not being truthful, but I feel like it's a good point too, to make that this point, they show her, her story, like I think on Instagram or something, where she's on her way to Coachella with her friends, having a good time. And a Rolling Stones song is playing. And Amber acts like she didn't know who edited it or whatever. And all this stuff. And Camille was like, well, that was a message to Depp, wasn't it? Or whatever. And she's like, no, that's ridiculous. The thing that I realized too is they talk about how Johnny was involved in some Keith Richards documentary. And like briefly, they kind of refer to it. And I was kind of interested in that because he's part of the Rolling Stones too. So it made me wonder if that's why Camille thought that like this was a message to Johnny, because obviously they were listening to the Rolling Stones likely. And she admitted early in her first statements that when they connected based off of like liking the same music at one point. So my whole point about this is not only do I think that this was a message to Johnny, obviously, and Camille's not being ridiculous, but it also made me think also that she was writing the red letters in Australia House in that incident, the "You're So Vain" lyrics. And I realized that because it's Carly Simon used to date Mick Jagger, who's in the Rolling Stones too.
Yeah.
So it's just all connected, and it's like
I don't even know who Carly Simon is.
Exactly.
You're lying.
BS. You said you guys connected over similarities in music, for one. For two, that didn't look like the same handwriting, so we definitely think that was different. For three, remember in the pictures she showed of it, it was blacked out.
Right, it wasn't red.
Right. So
and also they show her journal, and on the page that she actually prints on, that journal between her and Johnny, the page that she has like print instead of like cursive writing, it literally is her writing.
Yeah. So it kind of just all connected together when I'd seen this part of it where Camille talks about this was a message to Johnny, wasn't it? Of course, she denies it. And I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, like they must have been like, he must have been researching a lot of the Rolling Stones music. And obviously Carly Simon's related to that, same genre, same time period, connection. And I'm like, it's just something that's just so, in my mind, how could you ever prove it? Because it's just her word against this theory. But I'm fairly confident that she did write that. And yeah, Valerie, she does deny everything.
I'd love if somebody like found like an old, like, Amber Heard on MySpace when you could have music and stuff on there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like Carly Simon song.
Oh my God, imagine. I would die. Or like on Facebook, how you can even see like, oh, music or whatever. Imagine if like for whatever reason it does have like her link to Carly Simon. And I agree, CL, who doesn't know who Carly Simon is? Give me a break. Yeah, that was just some of the things, just like I hope the jury sees that this is, but then I just don't know because I don't know, some things go over people's heads and who knows what they're paying attention to or what they're writing down, but I don't know.
This is a video you made when you drove to Coachella with your friends for your 30th birthday, right?
That's correct. I'm not quite sure which one of us made the video, but that's correct.
You're featured in that video driving.
That's correct.
And it's set to the song Miss You by the Rolling Stones. Is that right?
That's correct.
That was a message for Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
No, that's ridiculous.
You consumed drugs at Coachella, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You took MDMA and mushrooms at the same time.
I did, yes.
And it made you feel sick, right?
I felt horrible, yes.
So you left Coachella.
Yes, that's correct.
You testified yesterday that when you left Coachella, you left with, quote, your entire group.
That is correct.
And you were, quote, never alone with Starling, right?
That is correct.
You weren't anywhere near him.
Not alone, no.
You sat here when Starling Jenkins testified that he collected you from Coachella when you were sick, right?
He picked up my entire group.
And Mr. Jenkins testified, quote, I collected her, got her in the vehicle. She didn't want anyone else to know that she was sick. Take her back to the Parker, which I assume was in reference to the hotel, alone. I took her to 7-Eleven where I retrieved hydrating fluids, Advil, and let her have those. Got her back up to the Parker, got her in the suite, and then went back to pick up everyone else. You were there when Mr. Jenkins testified, right?
Yes, he was wrong.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Jenkins is lying.
He's just wrong. I don't know what his intentions are. He was just wrong about that. We were a big group of us. I wasn't alone with him.
Is it possible that you don't remember correctly because you were sick from taking MDMA and mushrooms at the same time?
I remember everything about that night.
Okay.
We had a conversation pertaining to the surprise she left in the boss's bed prior to leaving the apartment.
And when you refer to the surprise in the boss's bed, what are you referring to?
The defecation.
And what did Ms. Heard say about the defecation in Mr. Depp's bed?
A horrible practical joke gone wrong.
Mr. Jenkins, what observation about the defecation in Mr. Depp's bed?
Who do you believe? It's the 4-5-pound Yorkie.
wasn't that the former Marine too?
Yes.
Well, I 100%.
I think so.
I
don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I think
so.
it really
I think it was, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with the former Marine and the driver over that gold digging woman who was out of her mind on whatever. Like, why would you take them to? I don't understand. Like, what is the need to combine that MDMA and mushrooms? Why? Why though?
I've never taken either one. I have no idea.
I'm just like, I just don't understand her being so out there with her use of it, but then in the same breath talking about him and his issues.
So Valerie brought up a point in the comments in the chat about that Amber talks about, or that Amber's phone was broken. So it's true, because if you remember, she doesn't have a phone that goes with, and she tries to say like Johnny took her phone, or that's what somebody testified to. I don't remember which one of her friends said something about it, but that she didn't have a phone. And so Whitney was like letting Johnny know, like, if you need to get a hold of her, like message me. But in her, and I don't know if you guys have watched all that or not. You can't even watch all of it. I don't even know where the heck it went. I swear a couple years ago, the whole thing was out, but it's not now. The 2016 deposition, she talks about how she has broken like a lot of phones. Was it in this deposition, or was it an old interview? Shoot. I'm gonna have to remember. I'm gonna have to look at that. But she talks about it's either in like a talk show interview or it's in that deposition, and she talks about how she's lost or destroyed many phones
and probably laptops at that.
Hi, Marshall.
Hi, Marshall. But that is troubling, and that needs to be exposed more. If we can lay that out, then she's a liar.
No, she's telling the truth. Every other witness
Yes.
that testified has lied.
Yes, every other person who has testified under oath in a court of law has lied, except her, and she doesn't know why. But it's just not what happened.
How I just don't understand, like all right, so the doctor, the crazy doctor for Amber's side. What did you guys think of him?
Dude, this guy's a trip.
What is it? It's not Schmiegel.
Sneed. I don't remember.
But you know who I'm talking about. He was, oh my gosh, at that one moment where he's like, do I have to answer that? Like when he was like doing the thing with his mouth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What?
I have that clip, I think. But yeah, that was weird.
Spiegel. Dr. Spiegel.
He looks like that would be his last name. Fits
Totally.
him
It looks like it would be his last
well.
It does. Oh my
Y'all
God.
sound like when I first changed my name. Shmita? A Shmeta? A Shmet? What is
Shmita,
it's a
Shmita.
Shmet? A Shmet? Hi, Missy.
Yep. Oh my gosh. So at one point he's going on, and it was right at the end. Like they ended with him on a day, I believe, if my memory serves me well. And Johnny's reaction was just priceless. So it's only a 41-second clip. So let me just share that and we'll end it on this. This was the end of the clips. So hold on. But yeah, he was just a trip. Like, oh my gosh.
If that is the standard and people are done that acting, then I apologize and that was wrong on my part. If that's the standard, I'm wrong. I don't know.
Okay. Let's go with that. No further questions.
All right. How long is your return?
A bit. You may want to take.
All right, let's go ahead and break for lunch then, ladies and gentlemen. Again, do not do any outside research. Do not discuss your testimony with anybody, okay?
But
The
yeah,
the Willy Wonka part of that is literally the best thing. If you're looking at Johnny's face when they're talking about Willy Wonka,
He like leans in, like, what is happening here?
right? He's like, "What is this guy on?" Like, he's obviously supposedly some expert on drugs and IPVs.
Yes.
But like, what is he thinking? With this weird, do I have to answer that? Like, what? What?
it was so bizarre. I love the reactions though from the courtroom. It's just amazing.
You should make that video, like zooming in on like the people in the gallery and like seeing what their like all their faces, like everybody's reaction. Like you could do like a little montage of like each person's like face when he says,
Yeah.
like, do I have to answer that?
I know. I couldn't believe I was on my walk and like had to stop walking like with the stroller and like see like because it was like silent for a little bit. Like all of a sudden it was like he was asked a question, it was like silent, and you heard like the slapping of his lip or whatever. And I remember like holding up my phone, like, what is he doing? Like, what? It was so crazy. And then the judge, I like the judge a lot. She's been very entertaining in herself, in her
Yeah.
own ways, but professional ultimately.
I like her too.
But Elaine, people are saying how much she's aged throughout this, having to deal with Amber, like everyone else. Just she sucks the life out of you.
Do you think Elaine's gonna retire and she's gonna say, "I just needed some time to focus on my other friendships"?
Oh my gosh, imagine that's how it goes or ends.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's part of me
Well,
that does feel bad for Elaine, but I'm like,
me
come on, like
too.
you had to have. I mean, you've had a long time to prepare for this. You had to have kind of prepared for every scenario. And Johnny's team is like on the objections extremely fat, and Rottenborn was too at the beginning, and it was almost annoying with when Johnny was on the stand. He's like hearsay, 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 hearsay. But then they like slacked off. If I actually, I hate to even say this out loud, I thought that they did a pretty good job the last couple of days. Amber still sucked, but her attorneys weren't nearly as bad. And I was like, why weren't you guys like the attorneys the whole time? Because
Did you
you
see
guys have different
Elaine?
attorneys.
Elaine was spinning around the courtroom, bringing like the document over to show. I forgot who she was showing, but she like brought it right over, and it was just like, what? Where has this lady been this whole time? And how many times did she say like, I had it in my notes, but I just can't find them? How many times?
I need to find my notes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just have no further questions, Your Honor. I can't think right now. Camille got that woman flustered.
And wasn't there and there was that video going around of Elaine like in a crowd before all this started.
Yep.
But to see Johnny,
Yep.
like with all the fans, and she's like got her camera or whatever, and she's all
She's like,
smiles.
Johnny, come over here, Johnny.
What if she really did like take all this on because she really is like obsessed with him?
And then she's like projecting as she's telling all these people they're only there for the 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, like she's projecting her own stuff onto them.
Yeah.
Well, that TMZ guy, dude, that was amazing. He just called her out. And then she was like, that's a bit argumentative. And he's like, no, not at all. I'm not
Love
being argumentative at all.
Yep. Here, let me pull it up with that picture on my community because it was going around and I love it. It's just a reaction of the entire courtroom when TMZ guy pretty much accused of Elaine of wanting her 15 minutes of fame for taking this on. Okay, hold on. So this is Johnny, Camille, and some of the courtroom already right here when he pretty much burned her. And then here, let's zoom in. And this is Amber's publicist, this woman, right? Or somebody who's always with her, her assistant maybe, or publicist. And she's over there got like a smirk.
I thought the guy that was, the guy that's sitting next to her now, or the one that she has now with her is, that's her assistant, I believe.
And
then I don't know, the guy is her assistant, and I don't know if this chick might be the publicist. I'm not sure. But then Whitney's like right behind Elaine right there.
But look at everyone's reaction. And then like even this guy who was like the metadata expert. It's funny. Hilarious. But on that note, that pretty much concludes everything I had to share. But, closing arguments are tomorrow. So then what? When do we find out, Teresa? What's going on? Whenever the jury starts.
Well, they start deliberating tomorrow. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to have, a resolution by tomorrow evening, because she basically told them today she's not serving them dinner. Otherwise, they're not back till Tuesday. So.
I'm just reading chat a little bit. Okay, well, so they couldn't come up with their decision tomorrow, even if they wanted to?
No, they can. That's what I'm saying. I just doubt they will, because if you think about it, she has to read that she's going to have to give them they don't get in until 9. She reads them the jury instructions, which probably will take about an hour. And then each side has 2 hours. So that may even take it into lunch. And then they're going to get to deliberate. They could stay as late as they want. They just won't be served dinner. So I think they'll probably leave. I would think they'd probably leave by 6 or 7, the latest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not back until Tuesday.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, they could, but they're probably going to be deliberating tomorrow for like 4 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? They go in there and they're just like, yeah, this is how it is.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm anxious.
Me too.
I know a lot of people are anxious.
I don't want to wait the freaking whole weekend.
Yeah, and even Monday they're off, so
just a lot on the line for Johnny Depp. It's giving me anxiety.
I'm curious to see how his attorneys do the closing. I know that Ben Chu's doing half or somewhat half, and then Camille's doing the other half. But I'm wondering if they're going to ask, like, what they're going to say about, like, monetary gain. Like, they're just going to be like, we don't, give him $1, give him 50 million. He doesn't care. Or if they're going to, I'm just really curious what they're going to say.
yeah, same.
And like everyone's been saying, like, it doesn't matter if he wins, he's already, cleared his name. And like, yes, that's true. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want him to lose.
Right.
Oh, I don't want him to lose either. I don't want her to win, obviously. And I don't think that she would. I can't, but this is one thing I was talking about is like when I was on a jury, the jury instructions like literally give you like the verdict form. It had like questions that were like yes or no, and it's like if you mark yes to these questions, this person is guilty. And even though I was kind of like teetering back and forth the whole trial, I mean it was only like a 4-day trial, but still, I was like, I don't really know. I don't know how I feel about this. When I answered the questions, I answered them all yes. So according to the law, the guy was guilty, and I was like, well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it kind of is what it is. He did break these XYZ.
Right, right. It's just black and white. Sometimes it's either this way or, it's just, that's what it would be interesting with whatever the jury absorbed with everything that was said in all these weeks. It's just going to be, I don't know. And, yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like, I want this to kind of like, I want to go back to doing other cases too, because this is very all-consuming. But I just have loved, like I said earlier, seeing a real courtroom trial take place in front of our eyes. Like, we haven't been able to see something like this. I couldn't even remember. Like, I was thinking about it and I was like, what was the last, like, Jodi Arias? Like, when
that was my last one because I had just had my son, so I was able, and Court TV was still on cable. It was before I even really knew about YouTube, but yeah, I watched that one. But I agree, it's just really been interesting. I didn't get into it really until Johnny took the stand for the first time. But yeah, it has been fascinating to watch it all play out. And just see the way they all handle themselves in the courtroom. It's just fascinating.
And I just feel like you can just tell when she's just being not truthful. And for her to be under oath, it's like, wow, the audacity of this woman.
Yep.
I feel like he kind of said it best when he was up there, though. He was like, what did he say? He said, like, no matter what happens, like, I got here and I told the truth. And I don't know like if anybody can really take anything else away from it than that. You know what I'm saying? Like she's going to have a couple people who still believe her. And I think a lot of that comes either from her own PR team or it's the people who are still set firm on the believe the woman and not just believe the victim. Like she's not like who would lie about that because people don't want to think other people would lie about something so serious that they automatically lean towards believing them. So, but I think he said it best. He went there, he did what he set out to do, and he told the truth. And I don't know what else you can ask from the guy. except for maybe
I
to
agree.
reconsider Pirates 6 because I love the Pirates movies.
And I just feel like him saying that, I just feel like he's coming across, at least in my opinion, more, number one, honest and more genuine. And she's just not. I mean, I haven't seen tears. We've talked about her looks as she's sitting there. I just, yeah.
Yep. Pretty much same thoughts, same feelings, and it's just going to be very interesting. And I want to thank you guys again for coming on. And I'd love to chat about this with you guys on your channels again or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's going to be something that we'll have to kind of break down and unwind with once it's all said and done too.
I know everybody's like, we want to get back to true crime. We want to get back to true crime. Like, I get it, but I'm sucked here. This is like I'm sucked into watching this. But I did watch. I don't know if you guys followed the Tara Grinstead case. The guy that was charged with her murder actually just got found not guilty on all counts except for concealing her body. So I did watch that trial simultaneous with this one. And it's so interesting because this is the second one I've watched during the Johnny Depp stuff. And obviously you have millions of people watching the Johnny Depp stuff. And there's like 400 or 500 people in the live chat of like actual murder trials.
Yeah.
Like Tony Todd's trial, went on, or Tony Tote's trial went on, and hardly anybody was watching that. That was the first week of Johnny's trial, and then this other trial, because we're so sucked into we're invested in what the outcome of this is. I cannot stop now, and part of me is relieved that it's almost over. The other part of me is like, what in the heck am I going to do with my time? Like, this is all consuming.
And it's been so intellectually stimulating. Just listening to Camille and all his other lawyers. That one guy, I can't remember his name, but the one who was really means business. Forget his name. The older guy, but he's not super old. But either way, it's just been really fascinating. And I was following the Vicky White and Casey White manhunt, and that was just crazy. But just another example of a case where now we don't get as many answers because she's not here anymore. She unalived herself. So it's just for me, it almost sucked me even more into this Depp thing because I'm like, okay, I need to see a conclusion because I got, I wanted
you do keep following all the cases that really don't give you a good conclusion.
Yeah.
You follow Watch, which we all know how that turned out. Then you follow Summer, and that's just madness. And then you got the Vicky White thing. What a mess! You've got you're deep in Kurt Cobain. That conspiracy I don't think is ever going to be solved.
Yeah, it's like climbing uphill for that case.
Right. You're like, Johnny Depp, just win, just so I can have some closure.
Please, I need some conclusion that I agree with, or that is, not a plea deal, or it's just, oh my gosh. But it's just been really, great. I've really been loving the, obviously there's been dark elements in the trial, but it's just ultimately it's been a learning experience too. I really like it. And I hope that he clears everything besides just public opinion. Like we're saying, he has cleared his name. People realize wow, that's terrible that happened to him, because I really do think that the public sees, but you just never know what the jury's going to do.
It's very interesting seeing all the people who have followed it from the beginning, and on the legal tubes, the law tubes, that are, at first were like, Johnny doesn't have a chance in hell of winning anything, how stupid he is for wasting his money doing this, and how they've all just turned a complete 180, they're go Johnny people now.
Really? I haven't followed, but I know that there's been a lot of those channels with the legal experts and all that, so that's interesting. But pretty much That unless anyone else has anything to say in chat or you guys, but that's it. I'm about to just relax. I know you guys want to relax.
Do it.
So I appreciate you guys being here again.
Always, anytime. I thank you so much for asking me to come on.
Same. Yeah,
Love it.
I loved the chat, and the chat and chatting with you guys always is just always interesting to bounce everything off of each other. But yeah, I'm very anxious to know what the outcome of this will be.
I didn't even get to tell the chat how excited I was that Kelly actually started following the trial, because
I
I was asking both of them to come on, and she's like, I'm not really watching it. I'm like, you are missing out. And Amber's like, oh, you have no idea. So then Amber and I did it without Kelly, and then Kelly literally, she got sucked in. It was like, okay, let me see what all this is about. And you could see your wheels turning, like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what is this?
I know. And then yesterday, my kids are out of school for summer now, so I'm kind of glad it timed it that way, because I couldn't pay as close, as attention as I had been today or yesterday. But
So what did
I've
you
been
think?
definitely consumed.
Since you didn't know much about all this beforehand, like Teresa and I kind of had we'd been briefed on some of this before. What did you think of Amber when you kind of got into seeing her and all that?
Well, I will say I've always kind of been biased to Johnny. I've always liked him. I did not know anything about Amber or the situation other than I had seen the clip where she recorded and he was like slamming the cabinets. I had seen that very briefly. But yeah, I mean, for a little while, I was thinking he had done it. But as soon as I really started following it, I'm like, no, I think she comes across very fake. She's obviously been caught in lies. I feel like pretty quickly I realized what she was portraying and saying wasn't true. So, but yeah, it was weird going into it. I didn't start really getting into it until Johnny first started testifying. And then I remember messaging you, Amber, and I'm like, oh, his voice, it's just so easy to listen to. And then I was sucked in from then on.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, thank you again, guys. And we'll talk soon, chat. So I'll be talking to everybody very soon. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.